James Cameron, who survived the lynching back in 1930 in Indiana. Served a couple terms as board president for that museum. And over the last 20 plus years, I spent a lot of time traveling around the country doing what we now call DE&I work, diversity, equity, inclusion, training, presentations, things of that nature. I've been working for the last couple of years with an organization called the Redress Movement, which is working to undo the harms caused by segregation policies and practices. And I recently, just a few months ago, I launched a new brand for me called Reggie Jackson Incorporated, which I plan to bring all of the things I do under the same umbrella, including, launching a podcast this summer, finishing up a couple books that I've been working on. One about the history of segregation in Milwaukee, how Milwaukee became the most segregated place in the country. And I'm also working on another book that I started many years ago, Tim, on the history of mass incarceration that I wish I had finished, but now I have some extra motivation to finish now as I've gotten back into that space working with some folks that are doing the documentary on the history of mass incarceration. They've invited me to be one of their experts in that journey. So it's a lot of good stuff happening for me, man. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. I'm excited for you too, man. And thank you for your service also in the Navy for sure.
Sure.
Service to the community, because I've known you for a while.
Yeah, we met in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You were here in Milwaukee visiting the museum.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sir. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? I wanted to touch on Joe Madison, man. I was really touched when I saw that he passed. Roland Martin had posted it on Facebook, and it just took me back. So what are your thoughts in regard to Joe Madison and his passing and his life?
Yeah, I think it's really sad that we don't have him anymore. He's a great person, great humanitarian. Right. I was fortunate enough back in 2005 to call into his show to ask him a question about something he was talking about. And we got into a little conversation. He invited me to come back on the show and talk about the Black Holocaust Museum. And so, I had a really great time coming back and telling him the story of Dr. Cameron and the museum and all those things. And so I've been a big fan of his, listened to his show over a number of years.
Right.
The thing that I love most about him, just uncompromisingly honest person. And he was one of the best interviewers that I've ever heard. I mean, he really knew how to ask questions really, really well and get to the heart of things in a very, open and honest way. So he'll be missed. And, people that aren't familiar with him, go back and find, whatever you can find from him and, just soak it in, because it's going to be wonderful.
Yes, indeed. I know there's a lot of they're doing the Joe Madison classics on Sirius Radio, and then it's a podcast, so you can just go, if you have an account, you can just go and listen to any show that you want to listen to. He's got a vast catalog for sure to be able to pull from. Yes, indeed. Yeah, so he will definitely be surely missed, and we want to give much respect to him from the Empower Room and from Empower Media for sure. All right, so getting back to the founders' meaning of Black History Month, tell us more about your thoughts on that, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, Black History Month is one of my favorite times of the year because I just love, history. I've been a person that loved history for many, many years, and I tend to do a lot of presentations, during Black History Month. People ask me to do, presentations and talks, things of that nature. And so I've gotten to the point where I'm kind of irritated by the way we celebrate Black History Month now, Tim, because I think we've gotten a little bit away from what the founder wanted the celebration to be.
Okay.
And I don't think many people know much about the history of Black History Month or who the founder is. Okay. And it's become even more special to me because I received an award from the National Education Association 3 years ago, named in honor of the founder of Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson Memorial Award. And so I'd like to just share with your audience a little bit about the history of Black History Month and what he wanted it to be when he created it back in 1926.
Okay.
So the idea to create a celebration wasn't something new. back in the early 1900s. He was attending a big event in Chicago. Dr. Woodson was,
Mm.
and they were celebrating, the 50th anniversary of emancipation, and they had all these exhibits about the history of, things that Black people had done since emancipation. All of the progress we'd made as a people. And he decided with a couple of his colleagues that, we should create a formal organization to gather this history and these accomplishments and share them with people and get them into the schools. And so in 1915, he created the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, which eventually became the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. That was in 1915.
Mm.
And then formally in 1926, February 1926, he created the first, what he called Negro History Week, which was just a continuation of celebrations that our community were having on a regular basis. Every February, the Black community since 1865 have been celebrating the lives of two individuals. They celebrated the life of Frederick Douglass and the life of Abraham Lincoln every year in February during the week that they were born. Lincoln's birthday, I think, was 14th, and Frederick Douglass was the 12th of February. So there were these celebrations around the country every year in the Black community without fail. And so he wanted to continue that, but then more formalize it by saying, okay, it's great to have a celebration, but can we bring in some professional historians to document our history, document our progress we've made, and make it so that everybody learns these things in the schools. And so that was why he created Negro History Week, as a way to bring the community together to celebrate us, who we are as a people, and the things that we accomplish and bring to, American society. And I think that we've gotten to the point now where it almost feels like Black History Month is like Black Trivia Month instead of Black History Month. We've gotten away from the history. And we do a lot of the first Black person to do this, first Black person to do that, which is all fine and good. We should celebrate those things, but we lose sight of the fact that, this is part of our history. And there are a lot of things that we need to understand about our history to understand how we got to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand some of the challenges we face today because we haven't studied that history.
Exactly.
And, Dr. Woodson wanted us to document that in a formal way and create curriculum for schools to use, write books, things of that nature to put in our library so that, our children can learn this history.
Right.
And make sure that our schools include it in what they teach everybody.
Right.
And so, to me, getting back to what the founder wanted is to create not just a celebration, for a month, because he said, okay, this isn't just about, this week that we celebrate. And it became a month-long celebration in 1976. But he says, we as a community have been celebrating ourselves continuously since 1865. And this is just a continuation of that. And it's not just, 1 week of the year.
Right.
We celebrate ourselves every day. And so I think that we need to get back to understanding that we should celebrate who we are as a people every day of the year, 365 days of the year.
I agree.
Have, these formal ceremonies and things of that nature during February, which is great because, that's the foundation of when this celebration started.
Right. I'm with you on that, Reggie, because as I think and watch what happened with the woke movement, what happened with the critical race theory movement, what I saw happen was that they put the word out there, and then it gained momentum in the media, and then from it gaining momentum in the media, it created laws. Okay, to disenfranchise and to marginalize in each trajectory, in relation to the critical race theory, which has nothing to do with what they say it has to do with. It's a lie,
Yeah, absolutely.
with a woke, so woke is another thing. And look at the laws that it's created in the DEI, that's another one. So it's important, that we, like you say, we got to go deeper in understanding. This is not about just trivia. All right. This is about us understanding who we are, where we are, how we got where we are, to make sure that we don't end up going back, and make sure we're moving forward. I mean, and it's a continuation, that you said, every 365 days of the year, for real, especially in this current climate that we're in, politically and socially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think where we are right now, made some great points about the critical race theory stuff that people have demonized and
Yeah,
turned it to something completely different than what it really is.
right,
I tell people all the time, don't believe the hype about critical race theory. Most
right,
of the time when people are talking about critical race theory, they're not even talking about what critical race theory actually is. They're talking
right,
about things that make certain people in our society uncomfortable learning, some of the uglier parts of our history.
right.
With it, and these attacks now on DE&I
Mm,
training around the country, that's impacted me,
that's right.
professionally,
Exactly. Exactly.
losing, the ability to do some of the work that I've done around the state of Wisconsin
Right. Right.
because, people are afraid of hiring me to do the work.
Isn't that
And
something?
so it's sad because we're in a place where I think that, as a society, as a world, really, we are in a position today where we have the ability to learn things that we could never learn before because we have so many ways of getting information that we couldn't get information before.
Right.
Information you can get instantaneously,
Right.
information about anything
Right.
nowadays. And
Right.
so it's a perfect opportunity for us to dig into learning and educating ourselves, what I really call re-educating ourselves. We couldn't be in a more perfect time to do that than we are right now. And
Yes.
at the same time, we're in that position. We're fighting against, this racism that's seems to be a permanent feature of America. That
Mm.
every time we take a couple steps forward, people want to push us back. And so, to me, celebrating, Black history. I tell people all the time, it's not about Black history. And Carter G. Woodson actually said this. He said it's not about Black history. It's about Blacks in history. But he
Mm.
said, he was using the term Negro at the time.
Right. Right.
Negro History Week started in 1926. By the 1960s, they changed the name to Black History Week.
Mm.
1976, the nation's bicentennial celebration, they extended the celebration to a month-long celebration. So it became Black History Month.
Right.
And it formally became Black History Month with a resolution in Congress. Both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate, passed a bill to recognize nationally Black History Month, and
Mm.
that was signed by President Ronald Reagan in 1986. And so we formally became a federally recognized celebration of Black History Month in 1986. And I found it interesting, some of the things that President Reagan said about why it was important.
Mm.
And a lot of these people that consider themselves to be lovers of, their conservative viewpoint and people that probably celebrated, Ronald Reagan, if
Mhm.
they could go back and read that, that the words that he said about why Black History Month is important, they would be shocked. It would
Right.
it would blow them away because it goes absolutely against a lot of the things that they're trying to do right now,
Mm.
pushing back against the study of this history.
Isn't that something? Yeah. Yeah. We're in some interesting times, and from the conference that I went to, the Rainbow Push Coalition Social Justice Conference. There was it was brought up that we're heading for a third Reconstruction. And it's real. That's I mean, there were so many layers of wisdom and knowledge that was in that room. That it's just like I said, I got a bunch of notes where I'm gonna have to actually come back with the show that relates to that experience with the notes that I took. So
Mhm.
it's a lot going on, and I pray that people are awake, and are listening and are participating. And please, y'all, please make sure that you're critically thinking. Please make sure you're critically thinking what you see on the social media with this AI stuff. Some of the stuff is fabricated. So you want to check your resources before you go off and say what so and so said, and this, that, and the other, and this, that, and so on and so forth. I'm checking stuff before I say anything. I want to see if I hear someone else credible say what I heard to make sure what I'm hearing is correct. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah,
like
you
with the
always have to always have to do fact checking, man. It's critical.
it is. It
Fact
is.
check.
You got to fact check. You got to. I mean, it's we're at that point now due to social media. You know, so with that, for you to be grounded in truth, you had to fact check. You have to fact check. Don't be lazy, and don't let people fill your heads with a bunch of stuff. Because I remember having a dialogue with someone, and I had to check myself because the person was making me so upset because they were not talking factually, and I don't do well with that. I really don't. The Lord gonna have to help me with that for sure. You know, and what I end up having to say is, hey, we're gonna have to have this conversation in another location and another time. We can't talk about this right now. You know, because there was an improper setting for us to have that conversation. So anyway, yeah. So I want to thank you for that, Reggie, in regard to the deeper understanding in regard to the Black history reality that we live in, that it's the everyday, we live and breathe it. I mean, we live and breathe it. And we need to, take time to think, reflect, sit back, take in, uh, analyze, compare, contrast, all those type of things we need to be doing in today's world is with all this information that we're getting, and it comes so quickly. So I
Yeah,
want to
one other point I want to make real quick, Tim.
yeah,
I
go
started,
ahead.
but I didn't finish.
No,
Dr. Woodson wanted this celebration. He said, the annual monthly celebration, we don't have to continue to do that forever, as
mhm,
long as we continue to teach this history in school and continue to make sure that our schools, use this history. That's all. If we do that, then we're good. We don't need the month-long celebration.
mhm,
And he said it's not about Black history. He said it's about Blacks in history, including us in history, because
right,
we've been left out of history for so
right,
long. He said
right,
that's what's important about, us celebrating ourselves and making sure that other people are aware of the accomplishments that we've made as a people. It's
right.
critically important to keep that thought. I've been challenged by people, as I travel around some of the whiter parts of the state of Wisconsin, like, why do we need a Black History Month? I'm like, because the 11 other months are White History Month. You just don't call them that. That's
Right,
literally what they are. I
right,
mean, literally, February is White History Month too, because we study white history, the history of white people in this country ad nauseum, and we just don't spend any time studying the history of other people formally because we don't get it in school, and
right.
so we have to set something aside so that we can push some of those ideas forward.
Yeah,
And
and my thing is, why not? I mean, what harm is it going to do for you to learn about someone other than yourself? And what I feel is happening is too. I mean, it's in relation to you want to treat us as we're invisible. We don't exist.
mhm.
And that's what I feel is happening with the critical race theory, uh, evil that's going on with that, with woke going on with that, with Black Lives Matter. Whenever there's something to empower us, there's a counter to stamp it out, as if
Mhm.
it's nothing wrong with you. You got everything you need. Da 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 da. No, we don't. No, we don't.
No, we don't. This is pretty typical responses, when we make progress. There's always somebody standing by on the sideline waiting to push back against it,
Right.
to kind of prevent us from celebrating ourselves. One of the things that I've learned doing, training around the country is that there are a lot of white people that are very interested in learning about some of those parts of history that they didn't learn in school either, Tim. They
Okay.
want to learn the truth.
Okay.
People try to say, we can't teach this history because it makes, white children uncomfortable. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I go out to schools with white kids, majority white schools all the time and do talks, and they love it. They
Awesome.
they want more of it. They
Awesome.
tell me that they need more of it,
Awesome.
and so I think that part of what we have to keep in mind also, Tim, is the pushback is related to the fact that after Trayvon Martin was killed and the Black Lives Matter movement started, white
Mhm.
people started to become more aware of some of these uglier parts of history, started to read books about our experiences
Mhm.
and became more aware what people start to call being woke. And I tell people, the only people that are woke are white people, because black people, we never went to sleep. We never had an opportunity to go to sleep. We have to,
We gotta be awake.
we have to be awake 24/7, right? And what happened is that created a great deal of fear in certain parts of our society, that white people who had been on one side of the line supporting whites and never supporting people of color were now supporting people of color. It created a great deal of fear among certain people in our society, and it's really an effort to prevent white people from learning some of these things in our history, because these are things that we're never going to stop talking about ourselves. People of marginalized communities will always talk about their experiences. But some of those people that were left out of learning about those things, when they became interested in it, it created this fear. And that's where all of the critical race theory, anti-critical race theory stuff came from. All of the pushback against DEI, all of these laws passed to prevent this training. It's because people fear, and they don't fear us talking about these things, Tim, because they know we're never going to stop. They fear white people learning about these things and having a different perspective and a different, way of interacting with our community because of the things they learn.
And that would create an economic shift. Okay. Interesting, man. Interesting. And and it took me to we went to the second inauguration of Obama, and there were some students that we took from the school I was working in at the time in St. Louis, and I was amazed by the young white students that I heard walking around, with the booths that were selling paraphernalia for Obama and Biden, and I heard so many young people say, "Oh, my mom said I better not bring anything with his face on it. If I do, I won't be able to get in the house." And all this, I'm just hearing all this chatter, and I'm like, golly, I mean, this is amazing. This is a historic event. You know what I'm saying? And these young people have been told by their parents, you bet not bring nothing with his face on it up in this house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a shame.
What a learning opportunity that was for that to shift and change. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that reminds me of another point I want to make, is that was an important moment in our history, those two elections of Barack Obama.
Yes.
And I don't think people necessarily put these two together, but in my mind, they fit together perfectly, because, we had the first Black president ever elected to 2 terms.
Right.
And that was followed by a president who's the exact opposite in every way, shape, and form of President Barack Obama. Right. When we think about, what President Obama stood for and the way that he represented our nation around the world, how respected our nation became as a result of having him as president, to going from that to having the next person in office be a person that led to us being disrespected around the world. I mean, I think that the two were tied together. I don't think it was an accident. I think that some of those parents that were mad at their kids for attending that inauguration are the ones that voted for, 45, as I called him. I tried not to say his name, but those people have been waiting in the wings to kind of, push back and fight back against, the progress that we made politically.
Exactly. Yeah, which, I pray everybody votes, please, if you ain't ever voted before, you need to definitely vote in November. But we're going to leave that there. And I want to thank you, Reggie. Is there contact information that people can get in contact with you if they wanted to follow up with you or have you to come speak or anything?
Yeah, tell them they can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to find me on LinkedIn or on Facebook. Either place.
LinkedIn, Reggie Jackson. You can find him on LinkedIn, Reggie Jackson, just like you are familiar with the baseball player Reggie Jackson. Spelled the same way. All right. It's just different Reggie Jackson from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
All right.
And, I have a team that's working on creating my website for my, new brand.
Awesome.
Creating a Facebook page.
Awesome.
YouTube page.
Awesome.
Podcast, all that. So I have a team of people that are working on that right now.
Awesome. Congratulations. Man. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks.
indeed. All right, and we go way back. We've been blessed to have Mr. Jackson speak on some engagements that we had in St. Louis, and I have nicknamed him Professor 411. In case y'all don't know, if you ever need any information, he's the man. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank
So,
you.
Mr. Jackson, man, I want to thank you again for being on with us. And anyone interested in any information or connecting with Reggie Jackson, you can reach him on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and he will be more than happy to connect with you through those two platforms. All right.
Yeah.
All
One
right.
other thing I want to say to you,
Yes,
Reverend
sir.
Tim, I want to thank you for your book. It
Oh,
was very inspiring for
well,
me
God bless you.
to reread your book after I had a stroke in
Oh,
November
man. Thank
2022. I
you.
picked up your book and
Oh,
it helped me through some very, difficult moments.
really?
So, just very inspiring.
Well, God bless you, man. I appreciate that. All right,
Yeah.
man. You're
Yeah.
gonna make me tear up here. All right, all right, all right. I appreciate it, Reggie, man. We'll be in touch. We still got that date to set. We haven't forgot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay,
Looking
all
forward to
right.
it.
Okay, man.
Okay.
You take
Take
care.
care.
All right, you too. And tell your wife we said hello, and we'll be connecting soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Same to you. Say hi
All
to
right
the
now.
whole, crew that
Right,
I work with,
exactly. Right,
everybody,
that'll work.
Jeffrey and everybody.
Oh, I got some up my sleeve. I'm gonna call you.
Okay.
All right.
Looking
Okay
forward to it.
now. Okay
Okay.
now. All
Have a
right.
good day.
Okay, you too. All right. All right, all right. So that's Mr. Reggie Jackson from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, an outstanding brother. I want to encourage you if you are looking for a speaker to come and speak to your congregation, your organization, whatever, you will not be disappointed. The brother does his homework and he's thorough in regard to the data that he provides, and he speaks truth to power. Again, Reggie Jackson, if you want to learn more about him or get in contact with him, check him out on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And those are the two avenues currently that are available for you to reach out to him on. And he, as you heard him say, he's working on his entity as well as working on setting up the YouTube and all that, his own platform. So we're in prayer for him with that, and know it's going to be a wonderful platform and very successful. So again, thank you, Reggie Jackson, for being on with us on today. And I want to thank everyone who was in our special presentation, a special edition on last Wednesday. We did one in regard to a very violent, tragic act that happened to a young man by the name of Quincy McMillan. He was a young man, 28 years old, that was shot, killed in Phoenix, Arizona, as he was working for Lyft there in Phoenix. And unfortunately, he was killed. And his wife, has a wife, children. His mom and I worked together at South Berkeley High School in St. Louis, Missouri, in Ferguson, Florissant School District, and was deeply touched by the news and deeply concerned about the justice that needs to be obtained for this senseless killing that took place in Phoenix, Arizona. So as you can see, there's a hashtag Justice for Quincy McMillan. I want to encourage you to please help us to spread this hashtag. We would greatly appreciate that. His mom would definitely appreciate it, and his family as well. And we are deeply connected, and we want to be as much of a aid as we possibly can in this time of need. All right, there's a picture of him there. Justice for Quincy McMillan, hashtag Justice for Quincy McMillan. As you can see, he's a young man, 28. I remember him to be a very pleasant young man, a mannerable young man, a model student when I was there at South Berkeley High School in Ferguson, Florissant School District. His brothers, his mom, his stepdad, all they're just a beautiful family. unit. And to have this happen to him has really rocked their family and friends and community. And please, let's lift her up. For sure, if you're interested in wanting to get more information in regard to what's going on with this investigation, this is Miss Qualisha Jones' email address, QualishaJones04@gmail.com. So I want to encourage you to reach out to her. She's also raising money to be able to increase the reward money for information as relates to this tragic act that took place in Phoenix, Arizona. So we need your help. You know, our motto is do something, and this is what we're about. So we want to encourage you to please share the hashtag. Let's get behind Mrs. Qualisha Jones. QualishaJones04@gmail.com. And I know she's doing some fundraisers and that type of thing. So please get in contact with her and let her know that you are interested in doing whatever you can to be able to be an aid to her during this time. All right. All right. So we want to thank you all so much for being with us in the Empower Room. And we ask that you will check out our website, empowermediallc1.com. You can go to our presentation page, our store page in regard to my book, In the Blink of an Eye. And I want to thank Reggie for his comments in regard to how the book impacted him as well. So I'm really grateful for that response as well. And thank you so much, Reggie, for you sharing that with us today in the Empower Room. So we will be back with you all on next Sunday. And we're going to deal with some mental health concerns on next week. I think that's also an important element of Black History Month as well, and have a deeper dive in regard to self-care. Is what we're going to be discussing on next Sunday. All right. So we hope you join us in the Empower Room next week. And we're so grateful to have, again, Mr. Reggie Jackson with us, and hope that you gain some information from him. And as this replays, we ask that you share the information that you heard today, and replay it and share it, and share it with your friends. And I pray that this has been a good informational opportunity for you in the Empower Room as we kick off Black History Month. All right, so thank you all again for being with us in the Empower Room. We hope you have a great rest of the day and have a blessed week, and we'll see you on next Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And don't forget to do something.